Good evening, and welcome to the Television Graveyard. We are your TV necromancers, Laura Prince and Noel Houlihan. We have come here tonight to examine the spirits of past television shows, to find out which ones could be resurrected, should be resurrected, and which ones should just stay doomed. This will be a podcast in which we analyze the history, the hype, and the aftermath of shows that ran only one season, including those that ran only one episode. This month is special. With me, as always, is TV's Noel Houlihan.
There's a million wild and wonderful ways to say no.
Oh, no. So today we are doing the 1990 classic cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue.
To the rescue.
This was a famous anti-drug PSA.
Yes. And I think every kid has had to watch it when their teacher had a hangover.
Every kid of a certain age.
Yes.
Because it never got an actual DVD release.
It got a VHS release.
Yes, a very limited one.
Okay.
So, it was released on DVD in 1990 and then never again.
Alright, because I know I taped it off the TV. My parents taped it off the TV. And it aired, during Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes.
And I took it to school, and I was like, this is an important video about drugs. We need to watch it. And it had, the commercials in it and stuff. And we put it in, and I was like, oh, you have to fast forward the first half hour. It's Pee-wee's Playhouse.
We rented it from the West Coast Video.
Oh, really?
I was a bougie child who rented it.
West Coast Video.
Yes. The West Coast Video didn't break street date, but if you got lucky, the Stardust Video would. Across the street.
Oh, okay.
Did you have that video store growing up? The one that would, put things out early and just pretend not to notice?
Oh, I had a video store that would rent out videos that said screener, not for rental.
I remember going to someone's room in college and watching something that said a word screener, do not pirate.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, so that's how I saw Children of Men. So, obviously the trivia is way more interesting than... Even the 90s reminiscing is going to be more interesting than the actual special here.
Alright, that's how you feel.
This is the second appearance of Barbara Bush.
Yeah, how about that?
Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue is the powerful story of a teenager dealing with drug and alcohol abuse.
And some of your favorite cartoon characters will help you understand how drugs and alcohol can ruin your life. So watch the program. Talk about it with your family.
And make the right decision. Stay away from drugs and alcohol.
Depending on what country you were in, it was a different world leader. This aired in several countries.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So, because I know this is peak war on drugs.
Yes.
So we open with the Bushes.
And Millie the dog.
And Millie the dog.
Hates being there.
Yeah.
And, honestly, mood.
Yes, very true. Then...
We watched a rip of the video.
Right.
That's what's available on YouTube. This is not officially available anywhere, but if you look for it on YouTube, there's a ton of circulated tapes.
Right.
So they all have the same Ronald McDonald ad.
The Ronald McDonald ad gave me, some sort of terrifying flashback. I don't know what it was, but it's a bunch of kids with different ailments and disabilities singing Love Lifted Me.
Love lifted me. Love lifted me.
And it came on and you watched me get physically uncomfortable, and I don't know why.
I think you watched enough horror movies that hearing a child sing is now scary to you.
Maybe?
Because honestly, whenever I hear a lone child singing, I'm like, oh no, something real bad's about to happen.
I don't know, but it started and I got really upset.
It was like me with a credits disclaimer. That weird third space unplaceable dread feeling.
Yes. I don't know if that is the best way to get the idea across to our audience, because
We've
I don't know
established it several times.
I know,
fear
I know.
credits.
I'm trying to just give like an example to the crowd of like of our audience of like what would cause that feeling.
When you're home alone and you hear something, and it's like probably nothing, but now you're disquieted.
Yeah.
Like you don't hear the noise again.
Yeah, like when you're in your home and something falls over for no reason,
Yeah.
and it's just like, well, why?
And suddenly just like the aura of the room has changed.
Yes. That's what this Ronald McDonald ad does to me.
Yeah. And I saw it. Like Noah genuinely freaked out. I freaked out on the credits to this one. The end credits.
Really?
Yeah, they really weird me out.
Huh. Okay.
McDonald's financed this special.
Okay.
And they handed out 250 million pamphlets
Okay.
advertising the broadcast of the special.
All right. Okay.
This was simulcast on every not every channel, but ABC, NBC, Fox, and CBS all broadcast it, and so did several other networks that even remotely catered to children.
Gotcha.
This was a big deal.
Probably was aired on the USA Cartoon Express.
Probably, yes.
Okay.
This show was rushed to completion in 6 weeks, and we're going to get into
Okay.
how you can tell it was rushed to completion.
Okay. Interesting.
So, we open on a cute little house in a cute little suburb.
Yeah, it could be your home.
Yep, could be, I mean, as long as you live in early 90s white people suburbia.
Right.
And it's like a little girl's bedroom, and she's, like every good child of the late 80s and early 90s, surrounded by licensed products.
Yeah, just completely.
Muppet Baby's alarm clock, she's asleep clutching a Pooh Bear stuffed animal, a Smurfs comic lays on her floor.
Yes.
Like, it looks like our apartment.
She has a framed picture of Alf. That seems weird, right?
I mean, I have a framed picture of Uncle Deadly.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That's like a piece of art that is hung on our wall. This is a picture of Alf that is on her nightstand. Like, it's not on the wall as like, look at this art. It's like, this is the person I care about.
Did you ever have, like, a framed picture on your nightstand?
I will tell this story. The first time I was in the bedroom of my ex-girlfriend, on her nightstand, in a heart-shaped frame, was a picture of David Boreanaz from Angel.
I used to have, on my nightstand, in a picture frame I scavenged from my mom's bedroom, I took out whatever picture of, like, me had been in there, and it was a picture of Tobias from the Animorphs.
Oh boy, okay.
Who was, like, my second major crush.
Gotcha. Alright. I just thought... But not Alf, right?
It was not Alf. Yeah, that's a little odd.
Not an alien with a penis nose?
I mean, I guess we just know that this little girl grows up to be a furry.
I guess, yeah.
So, we see her little piggy bank, who is not a licensed character, because then the next part would be super traumatic.
Yes.
And somebody steals her piggy bank.
What?
And then Papa Smurf in the comic book notices and sounds the alarm! My Smurfs!
Yes, so they all escape or they all come to life. The Smurfs come out of the comic books. The Garfield phone.
Garfield
the
lamp.
Lamp?
Yes.
Garfield lamp
He's a
comes to
lampshade.
life. Right.
And he makes, like, 3 jokes about lasagna, and that's Garfield's entire contribution to this plot.
Is to just say lasagna, yeah.
And Alf makes a comment about eating cats.
Yes. And Kermit is an alarm clock.
Yes.
And
Simon and Theodore want to help.
yeah, they come out of a record.
Yep. Alvin is a douche, and so is Brainy Smurf.
Yes.
They really emphasize which characters were always kind of douches.
Well, I mean, like, that they're true to their characters.
Yeah. Everyone.
So-
I mean, everyone is in character. It's just there's a couple really funny parts later
Yes.
with people being very in character. But Brainy loses his glasses.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens to
Brainy.
Characters with glasses. Mm-hmm. And he almost gets spotted as the little girl wakes up.
Yes, he's the worst of all the animated weird things that have come to life.
And Slimer shows up, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I think that was actually Slimer.
He's
like, I'm a ghost!
And he, like, eats her other lamp. I'm sorry, what? One more time for the kids at home.
That's what Slimer sounds like.
What does he sound like? It's also Stitch.
It's also Stitch. I do a decent Stitch.
Do it.
This. Nope, lost it. I used to be able to do this. This is my family. Slimer's there for some reason.
Yes. So Alf and Garfield hear the bank and sneak down the hallway. And, like, the chipmunks follow, and we see a young man, the little girl's older brother, shaking out the piggy bank.
Doesn't he break it? I thought he hits it with a hammer.
Yes, okay. He hits it and then shakes out, like, the rest of it. And Corey's like, you stole my piggy bank! And he's like, go away.
Nuh-uh! Get out!
He's supposed to be 14.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's, like, only 14. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like they do that weird thing where, like, 14 is just generic teenager age.
Yeah.
And there's a box on his bed full of drug paraphernalia and what looks like an ocarina.
Yeah, we paused it and we're like, all right, let's see if we can figure out what's in this. There's clearly 2 things of matches.
Yes.
There's some things that could be like cigarettes or cigarette butts.
Yeah.
Then there's like a bindle of something.
Yes.
Which I guess could be like weed in a bag or something, but like we could never really place that. And then just something else. And it does look like an ocarina.
Yes. And Simon, the chipmunk, immediately goes, this is marijuana.
Oh, what's that funny smell? I hate to suggest this, but my guess would be marijuana. An unlawful substance used to experience artificial highs.
Like, Simon knows
Yes.
instantly. Simon has seen some... Now we know why Theodore's always hungry.
You're immediately assuming they're doing drugs?
It would make sense in context.
They're a band. Like, of course you've run into people who do drugs. That doesn't mean they're doing drugs.
But because of this line, I read an interview with Jim Cummings, who is famously the voice of Pooh Bear.
Oh.
And he insisted a line be cut that implied Pooh Bear knew what drugs were.
Oh, really?
He said, like, quote, he's an innocent. It makes no sense for him to even know those words. Because, like, there's not reefer in the 100 Acre Woods.
That's true.
So Jim Cummings did actually put the band hammer on Pooh knowing these things. And I think that's just an interesting...
Oh, bother. Crack cocaine.
Oh, bother. X-smack horse.
X-smack horse?
Anyone who has seen the musical Rent knows that I just used the only slang terms I know for drugs, which are from the song Christmas Bells from Rent. Because I don't know a lot of drug slang outside of reefer.
Gotcha.
So, like, Michael smokes pot, and then we meet Mr. Drugs.
Yes, Mr. Drugs, who is a ghost in a suit.
Yeah, he's very reminiscent of Hades from Hercules.
I was going to say the same thing.
But is voiced by George C. Scott, not James Woods.
Yes. Now, did you notice that throughout the course of this show, his face turns into a skull for no reason?
There's one shot that genuinely just looks unfinished. Where, like, it kind of looked like a sketch or a storyboard made it in.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Like, they just very subtly, like, throughout it, for like a frame or two, change his face to a skull. It happens several times.
Animators loved that gimmick in the 90s. That was like a thing they loved to do. Because they do it with Gaston.
Yeah,
in Beauty and the
his
Beast.
eyes, yes.
So it's just this weird, like, I guess it was a thing they decided they could do now.
Yeah.
So...
So it was a nice little bit of, like, subliminal messaging.
And so he goes to meet his friends at the arcade, and his friend, who looks like Wheeler from Captain Planet.
I super thought that was Wheeler from Captain Planet.
Which is why I was like, oh, Wheeler just offered him crack.
And, like, that's a problem. Because the whole point of this cartoon is all these cartoons are coming together for this. So, the idea of, oh, someone from Captain Planet is in this too, is not an insane thought when you're a kid.
I don't know, like, whether we would have thought it was Wheeler when we were kids, or if it's just we think it's Wheeler now because we're watching it as adults.
I'm pretty sure I thought it was Wheeler when I was a kid.
Did he call anyone a Ruski?
He didn't call anyone a Ruski.
So, real talk, we watched Captain Planet just for fun a couple years ago, and we're taken aback at Wheeler calling Linka
A Ruski?
Yeah, we were like, oh, this was immediately post-Cold War, I guess.
Yes. He does light a cigarette, so fire.
Yeah, true. But this was a very common thing in the war on drugs of, like, no one just did pot. It was that idea of pot as the gateway drug.
Yes.
Like, he's 14, and they go right to crack.
Yeah, they start doing crack. Or having crack. I don't think anyone ever does crack.
Yeah, I don't think they know how to show people doing crack.
No.
Because they'd have to show, like, the process in which crack becomes, like, smokable, and I feel like that's not something you want to show kids, just in case.
Yes.
So, that's a plot hole in and of itself, because I was like, this is a wealthy white suburb, they would have gone for cocaine.
I guess, yeah.
But it's also the gateway drug myth. Like, most people who do marijuana do not move on to harder drugs, ever.
Right. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
But that was, like, the common mythos, and that's why marijuana was treated as just as bad, if not worse, than all the rest of them.
I'm going to have more words to say about this towards the end.
Okay.
But 5-0 shows up.
Yep. Which is funny, because, like, it's suburbia, so the cops have nothing better to do than, like, go bother some teenagers.
Right.
And Mr. Drug abandons Michael. His friends scatter, and the cop is advancing on Michael.
Yes, he's all alone, and he says something like, I'll never do drugs again, honest.
Yeah, like, very 14-year-old getting caught by the police.
And then it turns out that it's Bugs Bunny.
Yep, in a police hat.
Which begs the question, wouldn't it have just been better if he got arrested? Because he already said, I'd never do drugs again, honest.
Yeah, but we have to do the rest of this cartoon.
I'm just pointing it out.
So, we go back to Corey and her parents, and she, like, doesn't talk about how worried she is about Michael. And Pooh Bear is like,
Excuse me, but why didn't you tell her?
And she's like, shit, Pooh's talking!
Lump,
What the? God damn it!
lump-a-rump.
Lump-a-lump.
And then Pooh's like, I think you should tell your mother you're frightened. But don't tell her I'm talking to you.
Yes.
That's between us, Corey.
So, yeah, Corey has a Calvin and Hobbes relationship with Winnie the Pooh.
So then, like, Bugs takes Michael, and Mr. Drugs comes along. They go back in time to when Michael was idyllically playing Frisbee, and the past is in black and white, and Bugs makes a Bugs Bunny joke about it.
Yes, this is something I think we need to point out.
Yes.
Bugs Bunny is very funny.
Yeah.
Like, throughout this whole section, Bugs is hitting jokes.
Yes.
And before this, there were not jokes. There was, I'm hungry, I'm Garfield, that's my character trait.
Yeah, there were, I'm trying to figure out, there were gimmicks and catchphrases before this.
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny's actually landing material.
Actually, there's one joke we missed that we have to talk about.
Okay.
When they're all under the bed with Simon,
Yes.
and Simon's like, that's marijuana, and all that other stuff, Alf says something along the lines of, and I'm going to get the name